What if I told you that the banks never actually gave you anything of value in your loan, and that without lawful consideration, their entire claim falls apart? And today I'm going to be breaking down the truth about consideration, the law behind it, and how it exposes the banking scam. Now, before we dive into this video, this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. Remember to do your due diligence, okay? If you're brand new, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys for watching this video, okay? We've talked about lawful consideration before, but I wanted to bring it back and really hone in on a couple of key points when it comes to lawful consideration and why I believe that this is probably the best angle that you can take when it comes to debt discharge. Before you do a negotiable instrument, before you challenge anybody using a gold check, a coupon, you want to figure out and answer this very question before you do any of that. Because if you can do this, you can completely dismantle their whole claim and collection attempt from start to finish, okay? So, thank you guys once again for watching this video. Stay all the way to the end because I'm going to be giving you guys key information to help you truly understand how to be able to do private banking and why you have the true ability to be able to discharge debt. Now, I talk through facts, okay? And I bring up truth, all right? But I don't want you to just trust me. Go find the truth and look it up on your own, all right? So let's dive into it. What is lawful consideration? Okay. Now, lawful consideration is essentially the heart of a contract. Okay. It is the legal requirement that both parties exchange something of value. So when you see, when I'm asking for lawful consideration, I'm asking to see if, okay, if I gave you an apple, okay, did you exchange the value of the apple back to me? Okay, was it an even exchange? Okay, did you give me what you said you was going to give me? That's what lawful consideration is when it pertains to a contract. Consideration isn't optional, okay, because without it, the contract can fail. And courts and legal doctrines define it as a benefit to one party or a detriment to the other. In other words, each side must give something real, okay? So a valid contract must have these three things. Number one, an offer. Number two, acceptance. Somebody has to accept that offer. And number three, lawful consideration. If it doesn't meet those three criteria, it's not an enforceable contract. If one side brings nothing, it is an illusory contract, which is unenforceable in law, okay? It's an illusion that you're in a contract, but the reality is you are signing that very bond paper, that bond by yourself. They never actually signed it. So this is why lawful consideration is so powerful, because it's the one element that banks cannot prove. Now, here's why banks never can provide lawful consideration. When you sign a promissory note, all right, you provide the only real asset in the transaction. Banks take your signed note and deposit it as money, because in 12 U.S.C. 1813, it talks about accounting and it confirms that notes qualify as deposits. When you look at the definition of deposit in 18 U.S.C. 1831, 12 U.S.C. 1831, it breaks down deposits as a unpaid balance. And why do I cover this and speak about this so much? Because your premise for your debt discharge really has nothing to do with the negotiable instrument. Your purpose is the fact that the money is coming from something that they never actually created themselves. It didn't come from their reserves. The deposit that they put in your account affirms that it's an unpaid balance, that you've actually loaned them money, okay? But the deposit becomes the bank's asset, and with it, the bank creates a matching credit entry into your account. So, like I've explained before, the value that they are giving is the value that you have created. And when they upload that value that you created as an asset to their accounting records, they then minus out the value that you created and give it back to you. But in their books, it seems as if they've acquired whatever the loan amount is, $300,000, right? And they've acquired the $300,000 and they're giving you $300,000 of their own money. But the reality is it wasn't their own money, okay? They never used their own reserves. And we're not even going to talk about the fact that $300,000 becomes something that not only that loan agreement becomes something that they can monetize. It becomes insured. So even though they're uploading it as an asset and then giving it back to you, making it seem like they're loaning you their own money, that same money is insured. That same money can be sold and securitized. And on top of that, modern money mechanics breaks down that fractional banking pretty much allows them to multiply that. Okay. And they're supposed to loan that out. The reality is they don't do this. So here's the trick. They never actually risk their own assets, gold, or even their own labor, even their own energy. They simply recycle your own signature into new credit. So after you sign and you create new credit, they then just give you your credit right back. So from a legal standpoint, they brought no lawful consideration to the table. You gave something of value, which was a $300,000 mortgage, and they gave nothing but typing in accounting entries. And this imbalance makes the so-called loan contract defective from the start. Okay? Lawful consideration and understanding that what is happening behind the scenes can prove that there is no lawful consideration, and knowing what's happening behind the scenes gives you a better chance in your negotiation with them. Okay? So let's talk about how this can dismantle their entire claim. In any dispute, whether in court, arbitration, or collections, you can invoke failure of consideration as a defense. Step 1, you can ask, did the bank provide real value? Some of the things that you will be expecting them to respond to is, did they transfer existing assets? No. Did they loan their own funds? No. Did they give lawful money backed by anything tangible? No. So when I'm asking if you provided real value, I'm asking if you've actually given me something real. Okay? I'm asking if you've given me your money. Because if this is a loan, you have loaned me money that you've already had. And then also at the same time, is it lawful money? Because lawful money is backed by gold, backed by silver. Because if it is credit, it's technically not real value because I created it. So the question typically people will ask when it comes to this, and when they hear this unlimited credit thing, number one, you can access unlimited credit. Okay, the fact that you're able to apply and get $300,000 out of thin air is what they mean by unlimited credit. However, you have to position yourself in order to get that. That's why we are heavily talking about building your credit and positioning your credit. Okay, so that's step 1, asking them the question, shifting the burden of proof onto them, have them prove that they've actually given you something of real value. Step 2, prove you provided the value. Okay, your signature created the promissory note, and the bank deposited it as an asset. Okay, so the question is, okay, well, how do I prove that I provided the value? Well, it's written in modern money mechanics. Okay, you can look at UCC 3-401, which breaks down what a signature is, and it says a person is not liable on the instrument unless the person signed the instrument. Okay, so liable also in the same front will be like owner in an aspect of, and also at the same time it says the person is represented by an agent or a representative signed the instrument, and the signature is binding on the representing person. So you can't really create a binding agreement or an obligation without a signature. So if they are not even putting their own signature on there, and your signature is what creates the obligation, then you are bringing the value. Okay, so you prove that you provided the value, and them not being able to prove that they provided the value would be proof enough too. Step 3, argue that the contract is void, is unenforceable. Because without mutual consideration, there is no enforceable agreement. And at best, there is a one-sided illusion where you have essentially carried all the burden. At no point did you even get a piece of what they made from it. At no point did they have to pay out. They just received all the benefit, and you have to take all the liability. Okay? And as a bank who just plays the middleman, why would they be receiving all of the benefit? That just doesn't make sense at all. Okay? Courts and arbitrators, they cannot ignore when you bring up the mutual consideration conversation, because they know that that is one of the most important elements of a contract. It can't be a real enforceable contract if you haven't even exchanged anything with me. And that is my very argument. Before I send you a negotiable instrument, before I send you a debt validation well, that'll be in my debt validation letter and in my conditional acceptance letter. Before I send you anything else, money, I need to know that you've actually loaned me money, because it would make sense if you loaned me money and I pay you back for money that you loaned me. But if you never actually loaned me money and you gave me you wasn't explicit and clear in exactly what I was contracting to, meaning that I was going to sign this promissory note, you wasn't actually going to give me anything, you were just going to give me something back that I created, and then put a price number or a payment over time on something that none of us truly paid for, okay? All we did was give our promise, and the Federal Reserve Bank gave us money for it. You know what I mean? Or they allowed us to create credit. Okay? So let's bust the myth that the banks actually loaned you money. Okay? Thinking that the banks loaned you money is the reason why you feel like debt has you in this mental slavery. The reason why you feel enslaved, feel like you're giving all your energy, time, labor, and attention into your debt, is because of these myths right here. Number one, the bank gave you their money. The reality is they gave you credit created from your notes, and they risked nothing. That's the key. It's only lawful consideration if they risk something of value. Because if they never risked anything, so you mean to tell me I could create a bank and do the same exact thing? And no, I couldn't. Okay? So the bank never gave you their money. And it's written in Modern Money Mechanics. If you want to go read it for yourself. Number two, you agreed, so you owe. A contract requires mutual consideration. One-sided obligations are void. Just because you agreed, if you lacked capacity, if that contract lacks legality, if there isn't mutual consideration, if it doesn't meet the contract foundations, then it is unenforceable. So technically, whatever you are trying to enforce that I agreed on becomes null and void. It doesn't matter what I agreed on if you gave me a fraudulent or a bullshit contract. And then myth 4. If this is true, everyone would know. The system thrives on secrecy. They rely on never questioning the foundation, and once you do, the whole structure crumbles. See, you are going to go against the grain. It is true, but it's not easy, okay? It takes the same level of time, energy, and the time, labor, energy, and attention that you bring to your job. But the only thing is, you don't have to think about bringing that energy to your job because you do what you're told. But now when you have to tell yourself to do something, that's going to take a little bit of the energy. When you have to use some brain power instead of not having to use your brain power, and somebody tells you, fill out this Excel sheet for me by this time and at this deadline, you're going to do it because you have no choice. But when you have to choose, and you have to actually use your mind, you have to come with some level of discipline. Yeah, nobody's going to go seek the information that is secret or hidden in plain sight. Nobody's going to actually read it. Some of us actually get the templates and we don't even read the templates. The templates literally break down exactly what your argument is. And some people will send templates all day. And when you get to the end of their case, they don't even know what they was just arguing. Okay, they can't substantiate their claim. They can't even explain to me or their spouse as to why they are going about it in this way. And if you can't explain to me or your spouse why you're going about it this way, then you're not really ready. Okay, so with that being said, the energy that you will put into actually doing it and sending it, you have to put the same amount of energy into understanding the knowledge. Okay, if you have the knowledge with the action, the proper knowledge with the steps and the action taking, then that is the true power. Okay, and the whole point of discharging your debt is to take back your power. Okay, you're reclaiming your energy, because at the end of the day, we give our energy to these debt collectors because what? Because we agreed to pay a loan back if they loaned us money. But if later we find out that they didn't actually loan us money and they're making more money, and we decide to go back on that contract, you have a right to do that. It's just like if you ask somebody to cut your lawn, you and I get in the actual contract, boom, I'm gonna pay you $50, you cut my lawn, okay? Bet after you cut my lawn, then I'm gonna pay you my $50. Well, let's just say y'all under the agreement that you guys are going to do that, right? Your exchange is your money and his exchange is his services. Well, let's just say at the end of the day, he doesn't decide to do any of that. He doesn't decide to cut your lawn or nothing like that. And, he just trims the hedges, or he just allows HOA come and cut your lawn, which they was already going to do, right? And still decides to come back for that $50. It just doesn't make sense. If you didn't actually do the service for me, or you didn't actually loan me money, or you didn't actually give me what I asked for, then there is no true consideration. You gave me what you didn't even put in your contract that you was going to give me. So what did I agree to? So here's the big picture. The entire banking model is built on flipping your role, okay? You come in as the creditor, given the value, and they disguise it so that you believe that you're the debtor. They make it seem like they're the ones that's the creditor, but because they are a financial institution and the only ones that can monetize these monetize these bonds, in essence, they feel like, okay, they should be able to get paid interest or whatever the case may be. I get if it's a fee, like a middleman fee. If it's $300,000, boom, you take $30,000 and keep it moving. I get that, right? But vice versa, if you want the whole thing back, it just doesn't even make sense at the end of the day if you never actually loaned me money, okay? So without lawful consideration, the contract has no foundation. This is probably one of the most important videos that you'll see in your argument when it comes to private banking and debt discharge, because if you can prove that there is no lawful consideration, this pretty much nullifies their entire claim. This one principle, failure of consideration, dismantles the entire claim for banks and debt collectors. All right? Contracts without lawful consideration are void, period. And that is not my opinion. That is the law. That is fact. All right? The banks never gave you value. They returned the value that you brought. Okay? So that's all I wanted to talk about today is lawful consideration and really just bringing the importance of this. Okay? Before you do anything else, really check them on that. Check them on the lawful consideration. Now, if you want the letter templates, conditional acceptance, to understand how to properly ask for the lawful consideration, that's in the link in the description through my school community. You can get in there for 7 days free. Number 2, if you want to work with me one-on-one, tap into that one-on-one application down below and speak with me or my team, and we'll get you sorted out either through my mentorship and other services that I do have. And lastly, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you've gotten this far, comment the word consideration, and I'll see you in the next one. This video is sponsored by the Fund Yourself Academy. My step-by-step system designed to help you fix your credit, get funding, and build real financial freedom from scratch. If you're tired of feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just ready to stop living paycheck to paycheck, this is where it changes. Inside the Academy, I break down everything from consumer law secrets that they don't teach in school to how to remove negative items and boost your score, get access to business funding, and start building multiple income streams online. Whether you're just starting out or ready to level up your game and get the bag, this is your playbook. We've got tools, templates, dispute letters, mentorship calls, private community access, and an exact roadmap I use to leave my 9-to-5 and create time freedom. But only for a limited time, you can get access to the Fund Yourself Academy on a free trial basis for the next 7 days. And then after that, you pay less than $1 a day at $27 a month. If you like it. No fluff, just facts and just freedom. Go to the fundyourselfacademy.com or hit the link in the description to join now, because nobody's coming to save you, but you can fund yourself.